Hi, my name is Sarah. I want to tell you a story about my trip to Paris. It was my first time traveling to another country, and I was so excited. I had always wanted to visit Paris. I loved French food, and I always dreamed of seeing the Eiffel Tower. But before I could go, I had to do a lot of planning and booking. I learned so much about traveling, and I hope my story will help you if you want to travel one day. The first thing I needed to do was book my flight. Booking a flight means buying a ticket to travel by airplane. I went online to search for a flight. I opened a website that helps people find flights. The website asked me some questions. First, I typed in the city where I live. Then I typed in Paris as my destination. I also had to choose the dates I wanted to fly. I chose to fly on a Monday and return the following Sunday. Once I entered all the information, the website showed me many options. There were different flights with different times, prices, and airlines. I looked at all the options carefully. I wanted to find the flight that was the best for me. I decided to book a flight that was in the morning because I wanted to arrive in Paris early. This way, I could start exploring the city right away. After choosing the flight, I clicked the book button. The website asked me to fill in my details, like my name, address, and passport number. I had to enter my payment information. I used my credit card to pay for the ticket. Once I paid, the website showed a message that said, "Your flight is confirmed." I felt so happy. I printed my flight details and started to prepare for my trip. In the days leading up to my trip, I made a list of things I needed to do. I had to make sure I had all my important documents. One important thing you need when traveling to another country is a passport. A passport is a special document that lets you travel to different countries. It has your photo and information about you. I already had my passport, but I checked it again to make sure it was not expired. I also made sure to pack my suitcase. I packed clothes for the trip, including warm clothes and comfortable shoes for walking. I also packed my toiletries like toothpaste, shampoo, and soap. I didn't want to forget anything important. I made sure to pack my phone and charger because I knew I would need them for my trip. Finally, I needed to buy some travel insurance. Travel insurance helps protect you if something goes wrong on your trip. For example, if your flight is canceled or your luggage is lost, travel insurance can help you. I bought travel insurance online to make sure I was covered. On the day of my flight, I woke up very early. My flight was at 8:30 a.m., so I had to be at the airport at least 2 hours before the flight. I took a taxi to the airport. The taxi ride was quick and the driver was friendly. He asked me where I was going and I said, "Paris." He smiled and wished me a good trip. When I arrived at the airport, I followed the signs to the check-in area. There were many people at the airport and I saw many signs in different languages. I walked to the check-in desk for my airline. At the check-in desk, the airline staff asked for my passport and flight details. She looked at my ticket, smiled, and gave me my boarding pass. A boarding pass is a special ticket that tells you your seat number on the plane. It also tells you when to board the airplane. After check-in, I went to security. In security, I had to take off my shoes, put my bag in a bin, and walk through a scanner. This is to make sure no one is carrying dangerous things. It's a safety measure. The security officer looked at my things and said, "Okay, you're good to go." Next, I walked to my gate. The gate is the place where passengers wait to board the plane. I checked the flight information on the big screen to make sure I was at the right gate. I waited for about 30 minutes, and then an announcement came. Flight 123 to Paris is now boarding. That meant it was time to get on the plane. I stood in line to get on the plane. The airline staff checked my boarding pass and let me in. I walked down a tunnel that connected the gate to the airplane. Once on the plane, I found my seat. I was very lucky because I had a window seat. I put my small bag in the overhead compartment, which is a place above your seat for luggage. The flight was long, about 9 hours. The plane took off, and I looked out the window to see the world below. I could see clouds and even some small towns. The flight attendants brought food and drinks. They gave me a sandwich and juice, and it was very nice. I also watched a movie to pass the time. The flight was comfortable, but I was also very excited to arrive in Paris. Finally, after many hours, the plane began to descend. We landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. It was time to go through passport control. At the airport in Paris, I showed my passport to the officer. The officer looked at my passport, smiled, and stamped it. After passport control, I went to pick up my luggage. My suitcase was one of the first to come out, and I was happy to see it. I had already arranged a taxi to take me to my hotel. The taxi driver spoke a little English, so it was easy to talk to him. During the ride, he told me about Paris and pointed out some famous buildings. I could see the Eiffel Tower from the car, and it made me even more excited. When I arrived at my hotel, I walked to the reception desk and smiled at the receptionist. The receptionist asked for my name and looked it up on the computer. "Ah, yes, Sarah," she said. "We have your room ready." She asked for my ID and a credit card. The credit card was for any extra charges during my stay, like if I ordered room service or used the minibar. After I gave her my ID and credit card, she handed me a key card. "This is a special card that opens the door to your room." I took the elevator to my room. When I opened the door, I couldn't believe how nice it was. The room had a big, comfortable bed, a TV, and a desk. There was a beautiful view of the city from the window. I put my suitcase on the bed and started to unpack. I felt so excited because I was finally in Paris. The next morning, I woke up early and decided to explore Paris. I took a walk around the city. The first place I visited was the Eiffel Tower. It was even bigger and more beautiful than I had imagined. I took lots of pictures and even went up to the top of the tower. The view from the top was amazing. I could see all of Paris. After that, I went to a cafe and had breakfast. I ordered a croissant and a cup of coffee. The food in Paris was delicious. I also visited the Louvre Museum and saw famous paintings like the Mona Lisa. Each day I visited different places. I went to Montmartre, the beautiful area where artists live. I saw a great view of the city. I also took a boat ride on the Seine River and saw many beautiful bridges and buildings along the way. After a few days in Paris, it was time to leave. I had a great time, but I had to go back home. I packed my things and went to check out of the hotel. Checking out from the hotel felt bittersweet. I walked to the reception desk, handed over my key card, and watched the receptionist print my bill. It detailed my stay and all the extra services I enjoyed. I paid with my credit card, feeling a mix of satisfaction and reluctance. Then I hopped into a taxi for a quick ride to the airport. The excitement of my trip still lingered as I approached the check-in desk, showed my flight details, and received my boarding pass. Security was a breeze, and soon I was at the gate, reflecting on my amazing time in Paris. The flight home felt long, but my mind was filled with memories of the beautiful city, the charming streets, the delicious pastries, and the stunning views. As we landed at my home airport, I felt a wave of happiness to be back, yet a part of me longed for the charm of Paris. I know I'll return one day. That was my trip to Paris. I learned so much about travel, from booking my flight to checking into the hotel. Traveling can be fun, but it's also important to plan everything carefully. I hope you enjoyed my story and that it helps you if you ever decide to travel.